disrespect. It's a sting we've all felt at some point, leaving us questioning our value and dignity. Whether it comes from a colleague, a so-called friend, or even someone in your own family, the impact can be profound. But let's stop for a moment and ask, why do we let disrespect take such a hold on us? Why do we allow the actions of others to shape our self-worth? Today, I invite you on a journey to reclaim your inner power, to rise above the noise, and to stand firmly in your own truth. In this video, we'll explore 8 transformative ways to handle those who dare to undermine your respect. These aren't surface-level tips. They're grounded in Stoic wisdom and personal resilience, designed to arm you with the mental tools to navigate life's challenges with grace and strength. Each step will guide you closer to a state of calm self-assurance, showing you that respect is not something to be begged for, but something you command by the way you carry yourself. And here's the best part. The most powerful and freeing strategy is saved for last. So stick around, because by the end, you'll not only know how to handle disrespect, you'll be someone others naturally respect without question. Let's begin with the first principle, understanding that disrespect says more about them than about you. 1. Don't take it personally. How often do you find yourself replaying a moment of disrespect in your mind, wondering what you could have done differently? Do you catch yourself thinking, "What's wrong with me?" This is the first trap we fall into, believing that someone else's behavior is a reflection of our worth. But pause here and consider this. What if their actions have little to do with you and everything to do with them? The Stoics teach us that external events are beyond our control, but our interpretation of those events is entirely within our power. When someone disrespects you, it often stems from their own insecurities, frustrations, or unresolved conflicts. Their words and actions are projections, not accurate assessments of who you are. In the words of Epictetus, "If someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself against the accusations, but reply, 'You obviously do not know me well. Otherwise, you would have mentioned other faults of mine.'" Once, I found myself in a heated exchange where a colleague's words felt like sharp daggers aimed directly at my character. For days, I carried the weight of those words, questioning every aspect of my performance and value. But then it struck me. Was it my job to bear the burden of their frustration? Or was it my responsibility to focus on what I could control, my own perception and response? The moment I chose the latter, the weight lifted. Ask yourself this: are you letting someone else's words dictate your mood, your self-esteem, or your peace of mind? Each time you internalize their behavior, you hand them power. Instead, remind yourself that their disrespect reveals their character, not yours. When you understand this, you'll notice a profound shift in your reactions. Suddenly, their words lose their sting, and you regain control of your inner world. This isn't about dismissing all feedback or criticism. Constructive criticism, when delivered with respect, is a gift, but disrespect, that's an invitation to remember your Stoic teachings, to focus on what's within your control and let go of what's not. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause, reflect. Ask, is this really about me, or are they fighting a battle I cannot see? The answer will set you free and prepare you for the next step, setting clear boundaries. Understanding that disrespect is not a reflection of your worth frees you from the emotional burden of their behavior. But how do you communicate your limits effectively? Let's explore how setting boundaries becomes your shield of self-respect. 2. Set clear boundaries. If you don't set boundaries, how will others know where your limits lie? Respect begins with you, not with their behavior, but with what you allow. The Stoics believed that self-respect is not just a virtue, but a necessity. You must define the lines that protect your peace and dignity. and then you must enforce them. Consider this. How often do we shy away from confrontation, hoping that others will somehow just get it? We think, if I stay quiet, they'll see their mistake. But silence without boundaries is often mistaken for permission. And here's the hard truth. People will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. If you let disrespect slide, you're essentially telling them it's acceptable. Now, setting boundaries doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational. It's about being assertive, clear, and calm. Let's say someone constantly interrupts you in conversations. You could say, I value respectful dialogue, and I'd appreciate it if you'd let me finish my thoughts before responding. Notice the tone here. It's firm but not hostile, direct but not demeaning. You're not attacking the person, you're stating your standard. I once had a friend who, despite our years of closeness, would frequently belittle my achievements in subtle ways. At first, I brushed it off, thinking, maybe they're just joking. But over time, the comments chipped away at my self-esteem. Finally, I decided it was time to draw a line. I told them, I value our friendship, but I need to feel supported, not undermined. Let's keep our conversations positive. To my surprise, they not only respected my boundary, but also reflected on their behavior and changed it. But what if they don't respect your boundaries? The Stoic answer is simple. That's on them, not you. Your responsibility is to communicate your limits. Their response is beyond your control. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Setting boundaries is your way of embodying that principle. So, how do you begin? Start small. Identify one area where you feel disrespected, whether it's at work, in a relationship, or even in social settings. Practice stating your boundary clearly and calmly. Yes, it may feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is temporary. The long-term gain of self-respect far outweighs the short-term awkwardness. Here's an important question for you. What boundaries have you been hesitant to set, and why? Reflect on this and consider how your life might change if you firmly but calmly communicated your expectations. Imagine the peace that comes from knowing you've done your part to protect your dignity. Setting boundaries is a powerful first step, but what happens when people try to provoke you into a reaction? The key is to avoid getting drawn into their power games. Let's explore how to maintain control in the face of disrespectful behavior. 3. Avoid power struggles. Disrespectful people often thrive on conflict. They seek to pull you into their web of provocation, hoping to unbalance your mind and draw an emotional reaction. Why? Because when you react, they gain control. It's not about winning an argument, it's about gaining the upper hand over your emotions. The question is, will you let them? The Stoics teach us that true power lies in mastery over oneself. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When someone disrespects you, they are testing your resolve. Will you rise to their bait, or will you stay grounded in your principles? The answer lies in how you manage your response. Imagine a situation where a colleague undermines you during a meeting, interrupting you or dismissing your ideas. The instinctive reaction might be to snap back, to defend yourself loudly and forcefully. But think about this. Who benefits from that exchange? Your colleague has successfully provoked you, and now the focus has shifted from their behavior to your reaction. Instead, consider this Stoic approach. Remain calm, composed, and unbothered. A simple, measured response like, "Let's discuss this after I finish my point," can shift the dynamic without escalating the tension. You've acknowledged their behavior without feeding into their desire for conflict. Even better, sometimes silence paired with a steady gaze can speak louder than words. Now, some of you might be wondering, if I don't react, Won't they think they've won? Here's the truth. It doesn't matter what they think. Your goal is not to change their mind, but to protect your peace. Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control others' perceptions, but we can control our own actions and responses. Over time, you'll notice something fascinating. The less you engage in power struggles, the more powerless they become. Disrespectful individuals lose interest when their tactics fail to elicit the reaction they crave. You maintain your dignity, and they're left with nothing to fuel their behavior. Have you ever found yourself pulled into a conflict that, looking back, wasn't worth your time or energy? Reflect on how different the outcome might have been if you had chosen not to engage. This practice of emotional detachment is a muscle, one that grows stronger with use. If this resonates with you, take a moment to share your experiences in the comments. Have you successfully avoided a power struggle? How did it feel to stay in control? And don't forget to like this video if you're finding these Stoic strategies helpful. It helps build our community of strength and resilience. Now that we've discussed avoiding power struggles, let's consider another crucial strategy: managing your exposure to disrespectful people. Sometimes, the best way to protect your peace is to limit their influence in your life. 4. Limit your exposure to disrespectful people. Sometimes the most effective way to handle disrespect is to simply step away. But what if you can't completely avoid the person? Maybe they're a colleague, a family member, or someone in your social circle. In these situations, the Stoic principle of managing your environment becomes vital. While you may not control their presence, you do have control over how much access they have to your time, energy, and attention. Think of your mental and emotional well-being as a fortress. Who do you allow past its gates? The more time you spend around those who belittle or undermine you, the more likely their negativity will seep into your own mindset. Seneca wisely observed, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. Surrounding yourself with uplifting people strengthens your inner defenses, while limiting exposure to toxic individuals prevents unnecessary emotional drain. Now, you might be thinking, but I can't just cut ties with certain people. True, complete avoidance isn't always an option. However, what you can do is reduce non-essential interactions. If the person in question is a co-worker, keep your exchanges strictly professional and task-focused. If it's a family member, limit your time together to necessary occasions and steer conversations toward neutral topics. By consciously deciding where to place your attention, you protect your energy without the need for dramatic confrontations. Let me share a personal story. There was a period when I found myself drained after every interaction with a particular friend. Their constant negativity and subtle jabs left me questioning myself and dreading our conversations. At first, I felt obligated to maintain the friendship out of loyalty, but then I realized that I was sacrificing my peace for the sake of someone who didn't respect my boundaries. Slowly, I began to limit our interactions, only meeting in group settings or speaking when absolutely necessary. Over time, the weight lifted and I felt freer, lighter. Reflect on your own life. Are there people whose presence consistently drains you? If so, ask yourself, how can I create distance while maintaining necessary relationships? Sometimes even small changes, like taking longer breaks from certain conversations or declining invitations, can have a profound impact on your well-being. Here's another thought. Why do we sometimes feel guilty about distancing ourselves from those who harm us? The Stoics remind us that self-care is not selfish. It's a responsibility. How can you serve others? How can you be your best self if your energy is constantly sapped by negativity? With limited exposure, you've taken an important step in protecting your energy. But what about those moments when disrespect happens right in front of you? Sometimes the most powerful response is saying nothing at all. Let's dive into the power of silence. 5. Respond with silence. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every disrespectful remark deserves a response. Silence, often underestimated, can be one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. Why? Because silence speaks volumes without uttering a single word. It's a declaration of self-control, a refusal to engage on their terms. The Stoics understood this well, recognizing that silence is not passive. It's a choice, a demonstration of inner strength. Picture this: someone makes a cutting remark, aiming to provoke or belittle you. The room goes quiet, and all eyes turn to you, anticipating your reaction. But instead of responding in kind or rushing to defend yourself, you pause. You hold their gaze for a moment, then calmly carry on with your business, leaving their words hanging in the air. What have you just done? You've shifted the power dynamic. By denying them the reaction they sought, you've shown that their words hold no power over you. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Silence, in this sense, becomes a shield, a way to protect your peace while subtly disarming the other person. They are left to sit with the discomfort of their own words, while you walk away with your dignity intact. Of course, this doesn't mean silence is always easy. In the heat of the moment, when emotions are high, the urge to retaliate can be strong. But here's a question to consider. Who truly benefits when you engage in a petty argument? Does it improve the situation? Does it elevate your character? Or does it drag you down to their level, entangling you in a game you never agreed to play? A while ago, I encountered someone who consistently made sarcastic comments during meetings. At first, I felt compelled to address each remark, to defend my ideas and prove my worth. But then, I decided to try a different approach. The next time they spoke out of turn, I simply let their words hang in the air, acknowledging them with a calm nod before continuing my point. Over time, their comments grew less frequent, and eventually, they stopped altogether. My silence had communicated more than any rebuttal ever could. Have you ever tried using silence in a similar way? How did it feel to resist the urge to react? Reflect on this and consider how silence could serve you in future situations. The beauty of this Stoic practice is that it not only preserves your peace, but also forces others to reflect on their own behavior. If you found value in the power of silence, share your experiences in the comments. How has choosing not to respond shifted the dynamic for you? And if this concept resonates, give this video a like. It helps spread Stoic wisdom to others who might be struggling with similar challenges. Silence is a powerful response, but sometimes even that isn't enough. When disrespect persists, it's essential to double down on your boundaries. Let's explore how to reinforce them effectively in the face of repeated challenges. 6. Reinforce your boundaries. Setting boundaries is an essential step in handling disrespect. But let's face it, not everyone will respect them the first time. Some people will test your resolve, pushing to see if you truly mean what you say. This is where the real challenge begins. Will you stand firm, or will you allow their persistence to wear you down? In these moments, reinforcing your boundaries becomes a critical act of self-respect. Imagine this scenario. You've clearly communicated your limits. Perhaps you've told a colleague, "Please don't interrupt me during meetings." Yet, despite your request, they continue to cut you off. What do? The key lies in consistency. You calmly but firmly restate your boundary. As I mentioned earlier, I'd appreciate it if you let me finish my thoughts before speaking. Each time they test you, you respond with the same level-headed assertion. Why is this important? Because boundaries without enforcement are merely suggestions. When you stand by your words, you signal that your limits are non-negotiable. Over time, Even the most stubborn individuals begin to recognize that your boundaries are firm and they adjust their behavior accordingly. Here's a crucial insight from Stoicism. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They're about controlling yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Reinforcing boundaries is less about forcing someone to change and more about maintaining your own integrity. It's about saying, "This is the standard I set for myself, and I will uphold it, no matter how others behave." Of course, reinforcing boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to standing your ground. You might worry about coming across as rude or overly assertive. But consider this. Is it rude to demand basic respect? Is it too much to ask for others to treat you with the dignity you extend to them? No, it's not. In fact, by reinforcing your boundaries, you're teaching them a valuable lesson in respect and accountability. I once worked with someone who frequently dismissed my ideas in meetings, often cutting me off mid-sentence. After setting a boundary, I noticed some initial improvement, but the interruptions soon returned. Rather than letting it slide, I calmly addressed it again, repeating my request for respectful dialogue. Eventually, the interruption stopped, not because I changed their mind, but because they knew I wouldn't tolerate it. Think about your own experiences. Are there boundaries you've set but hesitated to enforce? What holds you back? Perhaps it's fear of conflict or discomfort. But here's the reality. The discomfort of reinforcing a boundary is temporary. The respect you gain from it lasts much longer. Remember, boundaries are a form of self-respect. Each time you reinforce them, you strengthen your own sense of worth. You're telling yourself and the world that your peace is non-negotiable. Reflect on this and ask yourself, what boundaries do you need to reinforce today? With your boundaries firmly in place, you're well on your way to protecting your peace. But what happens when the disrespect continues despite your best efforts? It's time to explore a deeper level of detachment, refusing to take their behavior personally. 7. Don't take it personally. One of the most liberating truths you can embrace is this. Other people's behavior is rarely about you. Disrespect, though it may feel personal, often stems from their own insecurities, frustrations, or unresolved pain. When someone belittles you or dismisses your worth, they are projecting their inner turmoil onto you. The question is, will you allow their issues to become your burden? The Stoics teach us that our perception shapes our reality. Epictetus reminds us, it is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance. When you take someone's disrespect personally, you're interpreting their behavior as a reflection of your value. But pause and ask yourself, is their opinion truly a measure of who you are, or is it merely a window into their character? Consider this analogy. Imagine someone throws mud at a wall. Does the wall become inherently flawed because of the mud? No, the mud says nothing about the wall. It only reveals the thrower's actions. Similarly, when someone disrespects you, their words or actions are the mud, and you are the wall. Their disrespect doesn't define you. It reflects their struggles. Let me share a personal story. Early in my career, I had a manager who often criticized my work harshly, sometimes in front of others. At first, I internalized every comment, believing I wasn't good enough. But over time, I began to notice a pattern. This manager treated everyone the same way. Their criticisms were less about our performance and more about their own stress and dissatisfaction. Once I stopped taking their words personally, I felt a tremendous sense of freedom. Their comments no longer held the power to shake my confidence. Here's a question for you. How often do you let someone else's words ruin your day? How much time do you spend replaying their comments in your mind, questioning your worth? Now, imagine what would change if you viewed their behavior through the Stoic lens of detachment. What if, Instead of reacting emotionally, you could simply observe their actions and move on. When you detach from the need for external validation, you reclaim your power. Disrespectful people lose their hold over you because their opinions no longer matter. You begin to see them for what they are, individuals struggling with their own issues, projecting their frustrations outward. But detaching doesn't mean becoming indifferent to all feedback. Constructive criticism, when delivered respectfully, is a gift that can help you grow. The key is discernment, learning to separate helpful input from harmful projections. Once you master this, you'll find yourself less affected by negativity and more focused on your own path. Take a moment to reflect on a time when you felt deeply hurt by someone's words or actions. Looking back, can you see how their behavior might have stemmed from their own struggles rather than something you did? How would viewing it through this Stoic perspective have changed your reaction? Understanding that disrespect isn't personal frees you from unnecessary emotional weight. But sometimes, even with this mindset, the healthiest choice is to remove yourself from the situation entirely. Let's explore the power of walking away. 8. Walk away when necessary. There comes a point when words, boundaries, and even silence fail to make an impact. Some people are so entrenched in their behavior that no amount of reasoning or stoic composure will change them. In these moments, the most powerful decision you can make is to walk away, not out of weakness, but as an act of self-respect. Walking away is often misunderstood. Society sometimes equates staying with strength and leaving with surrender. But consider this: what is more courageous than choosing your well-being over the need to prove a point? The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, and one of the greatest acts of control is deciding who and what deserves our energy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." Walking away is not about avoiding conflict. It's about standing firm in your values and refusing to participate in situations that erode your peace. Think about it. How much of your time and energy have you wasted trying to change someone who refuses to respect you? How many nights have you spent replaying arguments, strategizing your next move, or hoping for an apology that never comes? What if you could reclaim that energy and redirect it toward people and pursuits that uplift you? I once worked in an environment where disrespect was the norm. No matter how many boundaries I set or how much effort I put into staying composed, the culture remained toxic. Eventually, I realized that staying was costing me my peace and happiness. The decision to leave wasn't easy. It meant stepping into the unknown. But as soon as I walked away, I felt a profound sense of liberation. I wasn't running from a problem. I was choosing myself. Walking away doesn't always mean severing ties completely. Sometimes it's about creating physical or emotional distance. It might mean excusing yourself from a heated conversation, declining invitations that don't serve you, or even seeking new opportunities in your career or social life. The key is recognizing when a situation is beyond repair and having the courage to let it go. Ask yourself, are you holding on to any relationships, jobs, or environments out of fear rather than fulfillment? What would happen if you walked away? Remember, your peace is priceless. Protecting it is not only your right, but your responsibility. Walking away is a profound act of self-respect. It's a reminder that your worth is not determined by your ability to endure disrespect, but by your willingness to prioritize your well-being. Reflect on any areas of your life where walking away might bring you peace. What's holding you back from taking that step? Now that you've learned how to set boundaries, manage your reactions, and even walk away when necessary, there's one final piece of the puzzle: building a support system. Let's explore why surrounding yourself with the right people is the cornerstone of resilience. Handling disrespect is not a solitary journey. Even the strongest among us need a community to lean on, a circle of people who uplift, encourage, and remind us of our worth. The Stoics, though known for their focus on self-mastery, also emphasized the importance of relationships. Seneca wisely noted, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." The people you surround yourself with can either drain your energy or empower you to face life's challenges with renewed strength. Think of your support system as a buffer against the negativity you might encounter. When you're dealing with disrespect, these are the people who remind you that you are valued and respected. They offer perspective, helping you see that the issue lies with the other person, not with you. Their encouragement bolsters your confidence, making it easier to stand firm in your boundaries or even walk away when necessary. Have you ever noticed how your mood and mindset shift depending on the company you keep? If you're constantly around negative, disrespectful individuals, it's easy to start doubting yourself. But when you're surrounded by supportive people, their positivity becomes contagious. They reinforce your sense of self-worth and remind you of your strengths. Building a strong support network takes time and intentionality. Start by identifying the people in your life who consistently respect and uplift you. These could be close friends, family members, or even mentors. Invest in these relationships. Share your struggles, seek their advice, and celebrate your victories together. And don't be afraid to distance yourself from those who drain your energy or fail to respect your boundaries. Moreover, your support system doesn't have to be limited to people you know personally. Communities like this one, where Stoic wisdom and personal growth are celebrated, can be incredibly powerful. Engaging in conversations with like-minded individuals can provide fresh perspectives and encouragement. So don't hesitate to connect with others who share your values. Who are the people in your life who uplift and inspire you? How can you deepen those connections and ensure they remain a vital part of your journey? Reflect on this and take steps to surround yourself with individuals who help you become the best version of yourself. If you've found these insights valuable, take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Share in the comments, who has been a strong support in your life and how have they helped you navigate difficult situations? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Your engagement helps us grow this community and spread the wisdom of Stoicism to others who may need it. Disrespect is an inevitable part of life, but it doesn't have to define your experience. By applying the Stoic strategies we've discussed, setting boundaries, mastering your reactions, and choosing when to walk away, you reclaim your power and protect your peace. Remember, how others treat you says more about them than about you, but how you respond, that defines your strength and character. Thank you for joining me on this journey toward resilience and self-mastery. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and never forget, respect begins from within. Until next time, take care and keep living with purpose.